The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not dead yet, but it will be. What's up, Dusk here, and we're going to talk about a few things. I'm going to get right to the point because I really don't want this to be a super long video. So basically, TCM is trending, negatively with the player base. And how do multiplayer online games die? They die when they lose more players than they gain, and they eventually get to the point where queue times are longer than acceptable. And at that point, pretty much everybody leaves except for like a little niche group, and any new players that show up just see that games basically never really start in an acceptable period of time, and the game, for all intents and purposes, at that point is dead. The good news for Texas Chainsaw Massacre is that there are still plenty of players and there's still plenty of time to fix the game. The problem is it does not seem like Gun is capable of saving the game. And that is primarily due to their inability to take feedback, their lack of understanding of gaming, game culture, and development skills, which wouldn't normally be a big deal because the developer is Sumo Nottingham. But Wes Keltner recently clarified that basically they're the dev. They just outsource the coding and the animations and all that to Sumo, and then that's it. And then Sumo hands it back. So really, the developer should be listed as Gun, because Sumo has no input, no say, no anything, right? They're literally just handed a work order and a deadline for the work order, and then they have to do it, rush or not, and get it back to Gun. So what are the clues or evidence that Gun just isn't capable of fixing it? One is their style of communication. Anytime they get too much negative feedback, they tend to get really defensive and at times start playing the victim card instead of understanding really why people are upset. There was a live stream about a month ago. I'll give this as an example, where somebody asked why Gun was doing the Q&A instead of Sumo or one of the developers or somebody else. Like, why was Gun doing the Q&A? Which was a really reasonable question because Gun is listed as the publisher, and typically publishers don't do the Q&As, the game developer does. But Wes hadn't clarified their relationship with Sumo, so at the time it was a super reasonable question, but they got really defensive about it. Wes started rolling his eyes and is like, oh, I don't know. I'm only the head of Gun Media. And Matt was like, yeah, how long have we been doing this? And they treated this, one of their players, as if they were stupid for asking the question. And that was just not only extremely unprofessional, but it was also extremely tone deaf and showed a lack of understanding for how the game industry works. So, like, that alone is a pretty big red flag. The other red flag I saw was how they handled the criticism for the game being left in such a bad state while they were on vacation. Now, for the most part, nobody said they shouldn't have gone on vacation. It was, why was the game in such a, why did you leave it in such a bad state and then go on vacation? And if Gun were handling this properly and were willing to admit a mistake, they would have said, yeah, that's our bad on that. We did a giant content drop before our scheduled vacation. We should have done a lightweight drop and saved the big heavy stuff, all that content, for when we got back. Our bad, guys. But instead, they decided to directly engage with the most negative comments. And then I don't think anybody even said anything about you shouldn't go see your family or you shouldn't go on vacations. But Gun played that card to look like the victim. They said, oh, I guess we're not allowed to have vacations. We're not allowed to see our family. And here's the tweet that Wes put out. And I believe there was some other stuff, but this is the one that I personally saw. And this is, again, troubling because they're just not willing to see or hear or understand what's really going on with TCM, which means they're not really capable of actually addressing some issues. Another big major issue, and you've heard me talk about this before, some of you have anyway, that when they go to remove the lobby timer, that's going to make things worse, not better, because the lobbies are bugged, and that is the primary issue right now. It has nothing to do with the timer. When they remove the timer, it's going to make things way worse. And again, it's just because Gun isn't really hearing or listening or communicating with people. They did see complaints about the lobbies being buggy, but they just declared that the lobbies are working fine and there are no bugs, which is a really absurd statement to make about this game. We all know how buggy Texas Chainsaw Massacre is, right? So to me, it seems like they're almost borderline gaslighting their community. I don't know if I would go as far as to actually say that, but I don't know. What do you all think about that particular scenario and how they handled stuff? Now, I will say it's not okay to badmouth and abuse people online. You shouldn't do that. And for the most part, the overly negative people need to be ignored. If that's all you know how to do is hate bash on people, then whatever. You don't really deserve to be listened to. But as far as like Gun's behavior and choosing to only engage with the most negative comments. Like, I'm really curious what you all think about that. Anyway, to get back to the point, this just shows that they just aren't capable of doing what is needed to fix the game. And that's look into the actual bugs, fix the lobby bug timer. If you're curious about what the lobby bug is, it is when a family member dodges or crashes out of the lobby or leaves the lobby for any reason, the lobby still thinks they're there, and it won't backfill until a victim, after they leave, a victim then leaves the lobby. Then it seems to refresh the lobby and fix it, and will then backfill like normal. If the lobby timer goes away and people are patient and wait and don't dodge after a family member dodges, then that lobby will be stuck there forever. And having no lobby timer is really going to exacerbate the issue. So it's not going to help anything, and it'll probably make things worse. And so that's unfortunate. That's one example of how they're not really capable of properly fixing their game. The other is Wes Keltner seems to have conjured up this idea that MMR is some type of elitist tool and a source of toxicity in gaming. I don't know where he got this idea. I've never really seen this as a problem in games, especially hidden MMR, which is what Texas Chainsaw Massacre needs to help board on, as an onboarding process for new players. And a lightweight hidden MMR wouldn't even affect queue times. If you're curious what that looks like, basically you set the MMR to just look for level 10 players. And that's it, because you're just trying to help new players acclimate to the game. It looks at the queue for every level 10 player, and it snags them out, lets them even cut in line, throws them in a lobby. It lets 30 seconds go by. If it can't find any more level 10s, then it broadens it to then include level 20s. Lets 30 seconds go by, then level 30s. So at most, you might see that lobby go for like 90 seconds, but that's kind of what lobbies are going for anyway. So it doesn't affect the new player experience. Worst case scenario, it can't find any new players, and it does have to load in some level 99s and all that, but you're not trying to ensure every single game is good. You're just trying to get them like maybe 1 or 2 good matches so that they can get a taste of the game and see if it's actually fun and see if it's something that they want to invest their time in before they hit that refund button. And if you look at the reviews, you're already seeing new players are refunding the game because they're just getting dumpstered. They're just being meat grindered into the game, and it's not fun. So that's pretty much it. The game is doomed. And so that means what? That we should all probably just uninstall TCM tomorrow, right? I've hovered the uninstall button, but I can't bring myself to do it because the game is fun. It is really fun. Now, granted, right now, Family's not any fun, and I have actually quit Family. But Victim is still pretty fun. So, like, I'm just going to enjoy it while it's here. It's, when you do get a good match, it's just so gosh darn fun, man. Like, I really do love the game, but the writing's on the wall, and I'm just kind of bracing for impact, and I'm basically ready to move on, but I'm going to enjoy it while it's here, and I suggest that for everybody. Just enjoy it while it's here, and while it lasts, because once it's gone, it'll probably be gone forever. But look on the bright side. We've got a lot more asymmetrical games coming out. Killer Clowns, I think, is the one that's got everybody's attention. But Yeah, anyway, that's pretty much it. All I wanted to talk about. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.